how to bet the Cowboys against the Falcons. He's Tyler Fulgham. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. Welcome to your Sunday morning edition of Bet. You ready to make some money today?
No, I'm ready to try.
So am I. I lost everything yesterday on college. So we are officially in chase mode, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to see how it plays out. YouTube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. A lot of our YouTube shorts are up there. Everything from UFC to the National Basketball Association and everything in between. Check them out. Let us know what you think. You ready to begin?
Let's do it.
Market movers is where we start. The biggest line moves of the week from the open until now. The Pittsburgh Steelers go from a 9-point favorite down to 6 against the Detroit Lions. Obviously, the news that Ben Roethlisberger is out due to COVID.
Yeah, and this game is hard for me to tackle. We'll see how Mason Rudolph does in Ben's stead, but is it really that big of a drop-off from Roethlisberger to Rudolph? We'll see.
Dallas from 9 to 8 against the Atlanta Falcons. Not a lot of people buying into the Cowboys after the troubles they had last week against the Denver Broncos. Green Bay from 5.5 to 3. Rodgers to play, Russ to play. Does it surprise you the money came in on Seattle?
No, not really. Russell Wilson obviously is a massive difference maker. There's a big difference between him and the backup there, Geno Smith, as opposed to Roethlisberger and Rudolph in that Pittsburgh situation. So got his healthy wide receivers. It's going to be a good game.
I think that move was indicative of the bookmakers getting caught off guard. I don't think they anticipated Russ coming back, which is why they had it at 5.5. And then they got the news that Russ could play, and they quickly adjusted to 3, moved up to 3.5, and then ping-pong down to 3. You'll notice the Arizona Cardinals are on this list, and that's where we're going to begin today. First pick of the show, you got Arizona, who opened as a 10-point favorite. They're now laying 8.5. Total of 41.5. We don't expect to see Kyler Murray or wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, but we're not sure. It hasn't been made official as of yet. So how do you bet this game? First bet of the show. Make it a good one, please.
Yeah, I'm going to take the points with the Panthers here. The 8.5-point head start with no Kyler Murray, with no DeAndre Hopkins. We're going to see probably a heavy dose of James Conner again, and he was great last week for this Arizona team. And betting on Arizona has been very profitable if you've done that this season, but I'm going against the grain here. I think I've been saying it, coming back down to earth, and it hasn't happened yet. So maybe they keep defying my logic and estimation, but 8.5, despite the way the Panthers have looked, and P.J. Walker at quarterback, whatever's going on there, this defense is still pretty good. They're top 5, I believe, still in yards per play allowed. They've been a capable defense, so I think Arizona will have to work for points. A total at 41.5. When I'm getting 8.5 on one side, I usually like that proposition.
Arizona and Tennessee, two teams people are waiting for the bottom to fall out, and it just doesn't happen. I'll look at the total here. I'll play under 41.5. It's low. But again, like Tyler mentioned, P.J. Walker starting for Carolina. I don't expect a lot from that offense going against an Arizona D that ranks 3rd in scoring defense and 3rd in opponent yards per play. And keep in mind, when the Arizona defense needed to step up last week at San Francisco, they stepped up in a big way. Got some big turnovers in that game, limited what the Niners could do offensively. On the other side, if it's going to be Colt McCoy in Arizona, I think it's going to be a more methodical attack. I don't think they're going to hang a huge number against Carolina. Right. This game, I'm going to be honest, it's not all that appealing to me. It really isn't. P.J. Walker versus Colt McCoy is not the game I was hoping for here. But that's why we gamble, because we can make any game exciting. Let's talk some double-digit spreads. We've got a handful of them today. We'll isolate 2 right out of the gate. Buffalo, off that horrific 9-6 loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. They're laying 13, total of 48 against the Jets. Jets on 10 days refs off that Thursday night game.
Yeah, so that spread's a little bit too big for me. So I will instead look at the Buffalo team this way. I'm going to play them over 3.5 total touchdowns. So they got to get into the paint 4 times, 1 per quarter, which I think they can do against this Jets team, which is dead last in the NFL in yards allowed per game and dead last in the NFL in points allowed per game. I'm expecting a big bounce back from Josh Allen in this offense after they looked rather abysmal against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Zach Moss is healthy, and he'll be able to go teaming up with Devin Singletary. We know what Josh Allen is capable of. And in this matchup against an awful defense, I'm expecting a big bounce back for the Bills. So I don't care what New York scores. I think the Bills win this game, but I think they do so scoring 30-plus points. And if you're getting into the 30s, you're probably finding the end zone at least 4 times.
Mind meld here. I'm going team total over 30.5. So I hope you hit yours, because that means I'm on the way to hitting mine. This is just your classic bounce back spot. Buffalo hasn't been as solid offensively as they were last year. That's okay. They were great last season. But after what happened in Jacksonville last week, you have to have a week of practice in which the focal point is we have to play better, we have to play cleaner, we have to play sharper. Everyone's going to pick their game up. perfect opponent to do that against. Did you see the Jets in Indianapolis 10 days ago? They were abysmal. The Colts were scoring from all over the place.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz looked like a legitimate quarterback, which is very hard to do when it comes to Carson Wentz. So ultimately, a Jets team that ranks 27th in opponent yards per play and dead last in scoring defense at 31 points per game. I think the Bills hang a big number. I like it. I'm over 30.5. Colts laying 10. Total of 47.5 against those aforementioned Jaguars. Jacksonville have magic 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah, remember last week when we were talking about the Jags-Bills game and I said, it says here that I'm taking the Jags plus the points. That doesn't make any sense at all. And so I rerouted and went with Buffalo. I like this better when I had the hook attached to the 10, but I'm going to take the points in my pocket with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, 10.5 I liked a lot more. It's just, I think Jacksonville offensively, and maybe they found something defensively with Josh Allen last week against Josh Allen. They can replicate against Carson Wentz, Michael Pittman, and Jonathan Taylor. My concern is that Taylor just goes nuclear again because he's the hottest running back in the league. No Derrick Henry. Nick Chubb is out this week. Taylor is the alpha at this position. I think he can shred against the Jacksonville defense, but Jacksonville has enough on their with their offense. James Robinson will play. You have Marvin Jones, you have Laviska Shenault, Jamal Agnew, Dan Arnold, not big names, but they've worked with Trevor Lawrence. And again, if they found something defensively, I'm not saying they're going to win this game. It certainly shocked me they beat Buffalo. I don't think back-to-back miracles are coming for the Jags, especially since this game is in Indy. But 10 points is a lot. So I'll take the 10 points begrudgingly. I wish it still had that hook attached to it. But we'll ride with what we put in there because last week I didn't do so, and that backfired on me.
First roulette bet of the day. I'll lay the 10 with Indianapolis. Not a game that's high on my card, but it's on the card regardless. 10 days to get ready if you're Indianapolis. You're off a good win against the Jets. You look solid on both sides of the ball, so it's time to try to keep that momentum going. This is going to be a bit dangerous because I'm playing a data point that is really limited. It's a sample size of 1. But I saw Jacksonville win a game earlier this year against Miami, and then the next time out, I saw them get absolutely waxed by Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville was living up in the clouds, celebrating like Dallas against Minnesota. Hey, we beat the Vikings on Sunday Night Football without Dak Prescott. Oops, we fell on our face against Denver because we were too busy. I'm not going to finish that sentence because I was about to say something that was probably borderline unacceptable.
Ooh.
Maybe was able to get away with it. Not going to take the risk. Buttoned up today. But ultimately, I think that Jacksonville is going to get high on its own supply. I'll use that one.
Okay, all right.
Probably also equally troublesome. And they're going to walk into this game against Indy, and they're going to be flat like they were against Seattle. So, big dog, little dog is the game we're going to play next. And we're going right into more double-digit dogs because I think I have an idea of what you're thinking. Here's how the game works if you're new. We're going to identify a big dog and a little dog. A big dog is an underdog of 3.5 or more points. A little dog is an underdog of 3 or fewer points. We're looking for live dogs, not just dogs that can cash by covering the spread, dogs that can win outright. So your big dog today is?
I'm going to go with the Washington football team.
Ooh, against Tommy.
10-point dog at home against Tommy and Co. coming off the bye. Again, when you're finding big dogs, there's a very small chance this can happen. But for the path to victory for Washington, because they can do this, they have a great defensive line. Put pressure on Tom Brady. They, with their front four, Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, they can put pressure on Tom Brady, who is still without Antonio Brown, no Rob Gronkowski. Now, the problem with the Washington defense is wide receivers shred against their secondary and coverage unit. Chris Godwin will play, though didn't practice much this week. Mike Evans will be available. And we know Tom can pick apart any defense he's seen. Even if pressure's coming quickly, he's get the ball out so quickly and avoid sacks. Taylor Heineke on the other side, we saw him in the playoff game do some damage against this Tampa Bay defense. You can throw. Terry McLaurin is healthy. Antonio Gibson is healthy. Maybe use him in the passing game. J.D. McKissick. So this is the path to a victory for a 10-point underdog. The game at home, we'll see. Maybe Tampa Bay comes out like all the teams did last week that were supposed to win and lays an egg. Probably not coming off a bye, but I'll roll the dice on Washington as a touchdown and a field goal underdog at home against Tampa Tom.
That game's got some intrigue. Tampa was awesome off the bye last year. They won every game the rest of the way out, including the Super Bowl. Washington off the bye, you got to figure they get right at some point and play a little bit better. I'm going to look at the Detroit Lions. I will take the 6, obviously. I think they could spring the upset. This was going to be my pick before Ben Roethlisberger got ruled out. I still didn't like the Steelers. I'd rather get 9 points with this as well, but the 6 is fine. Pittsburgh, I think we're starting to buy into something that isn't necessarily there. They're lousy on offense. All right, we're talking about trying to cover 6. We're talking about trying to win a game with an offense that ranks 23rd in scoring and 26th in yards per play. I mean, that's not the type of team that zips up and down the field. Detroit coming off the bye, we've seen them very feisty this season. Some spots they have gotten absolutely annihilated. Philadelphia comes to mind. Some spots they've been right in there threatening the upset. The Rams comes to mind. Now, they haven't gotten it done yet. I believe they'll get it done at some point. Maybe Thanksgiving against the Chicago Bears. But today against Pittsburgh, it's not going to surprise me in the least if they find a way to get it done against Mason Rudolph. Little dog, a dog of 3 or fewer points.
Yeah, I'm going to look at the Las Vegas Raiders here against the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. I think I'm playing Vegas on the money line in this game against the Kansas City Chiefs. We know how abysmal the Chiefs have been against the spread. Dating back to last season, that trend has continued into 2021. You look at this micro matchup here, and the Chiefs offense supposed to be there. What bails them out? We know the defense is bad, but that offense has struggled here as of late. Go back to last season. This Las Vegas team beat Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium. They played 2 close games against the Chiefs. It's a hated division rival here. This game is back at home where Las Vegas is coming off a 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff all the way against the New York Giants. They lost that game. We're dealing with still the fallout of John Gruden, of course, Henry Ruggs tragedy as well. Now they've returned home. I think they've had time to put that in their rearview mirror and focus on an opponent that will galvanize the team and the crowd at the big Roomba there. So I like the Las Vegas Raiders with their offense against that terrible defense to put points on the board. And Max Crosby, Yannick Ngakoue, that defense, they've been okay, but they can put pressure on the quarterback. And I think Patrick Mahomes might be feeling some of that pressure in this matchup. And I think Vegas can win this game outright.
I like the way you're playing that because I see 2 outcomes in this game. Raiders win or Raiders get blown out. I don't see the Raiders losing close in that game for some reason. And by the way, John Gruden now suing the NFL, which should be a wonderful storyline for everyone the rest of the way out. I'll look at the New Orleans Saints to win outright against Tennessee. Why would I do that? Well, let's work through this, all right? Tennessee is on an incredible run right now. They just took out the Bills, the Chiefs, the Colts, and the Rams, all in a row, okay? And they did it without Derrick Henry last week against the Rams. Alvin Kamara is not going to play for the Saints, and we just saw the Saints get beat up by the Falcons in the Voodoo Dome. And with all that information, at some books, this line has gone from Tennessee -3 to Tennessee -2.5. Now, why would that be? Why would you have a key move off a key number with all the details I just laid out? Something smells fishy here. This is your skunk game of the week. I think there's something going on with Tennessee that isn't necessarily public yet. Julio Jones has been ruled out for this game. He's on IR, so they lose that weapon along with Derrick Henry. And Ryan Tannehill missed Friday's practice with an illness that Vrabel wasn't willing to clarify, so we don't know what it is. Maybe it's nothing, but I think he's being a little bit suspicious there. I'll take the Saints. This could be your surprise game of the week, given what we saw from New Orleans last week. That should be a good matchup. Speaking of the matchups that are going to be the elite matchups today, must-see matchups is next. And we begin with, of course, America's team in Big D, the Dallas Cowboys, fresh off that beatdown at the hands of the Denver Broncos. Dallas laying 8, total of 55. Do you have faith in the Cowboys this week?
Yeah, I do. I don't love laying 8, but I will begrudgingly do it here. It has come down a little bit. I think it was 9, 10 earlier in the week.
Good teaser number now, too.
Exactly, a good teaser number, so definitely consider doing that, taking it from 8 down to 2, get through those key numbers of 7, 6, and 3. Bottom line is that if the Cowboys are as good as I think they are, they'll bounce back in this game. They will bounce back from the embarrassing performance at home against the Denver Broncos. Atlanta has been better offensively, and Dallas has predictably regressed because those turnovers aren't happening the way they were at the beginning of the season, which you thought would happen. But there's still a team that should be able to focus on Kyle Pitts and Cordero Patterson. Those are really the 2 options that you have to worry about in Atlanta. So if you can figure out a way to take those 2 out, then you're asking Russell Gage's and Olamide Zacchaeus to beat you. And I like that proposition a lot better than having Pitts run free and Cordero Patterson. So bounce back from Dak Prescott, Zeke on that offense, who got banged up last week, stayed in the game, and was never really on the injury report this week, so I'm assuming he's all good to go. There's no Tyron Smith, which is a concern, but I think Dak, with his weapons on the perimeter, Michael Gallup back, should be able to put up 30-plus points. And if Dallas, again, is as good as I think, they'll limit Atlanta coming off a big win against New Orleans.
Roulette bet number 2. I'm going to find myself on the Falcons in this one for a variety of reasons. Starting with Atlanta catching 8 points in this game, you're asking Dallas to cover a big number here against a team that's won 3 of 4 and has hung 27 or more points in 4 of their last 5 games. This offense can score. And if they're scoring against Dallas, to cover 8, what are you going to need to hang in this game? 38 points, 41 points. That's a big ask for the Dallas Cowboys in this matchup. The Cowboys are giving up 25 points per game at home as well. So it's not like they're shutting people down at AT&T Stadium. Falcons +8 is the pick. Your boys, Monday Night Football divisional matchup in the NFC West. The Rams laying 3.5. Total of 50 in San Francisco to take on the Niners.
I'm going to lay it with the Rams here. San Francisco, a team that is winless, 0-4 ATS at home this season. The Rams coming off an embarrassing loss, the way that Matthew Stafford gave that game to the Tennessee Titans last week. I think this is a bounce-back spot for L.A. The loss of Robert Woods, who the day after they acquire Odell Beckham Jr., has a non-contact ACL injury. He's out for the rest of the season, so that Beckham acquisition now becomes a necessity, not a luxury with the Robert Woods injury. I think that is going to hurt because not only what he does in the passing game, Woods one of, if not the best blocking wide receiver in the NFL. He and Cooper Kupp with what they do in the run game allows that offense to really reach its full potential. So Beckham will have to get up to speed quickly. But I do think Los Angeles defensively is the difference as to why I will take them -3.5 against San Francisco. I think Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, and Von Miller plays will put pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo and make him look the way that Jared Goff looked oftentimes in this matchup, where San Francisco's defense would just turn him over and create extra possessions for their offense. I think LA's defense will limit San Francisco and help them cover this 3.5 points.
Roulette bet number 3.
What is
Might as well toss one over
bang,
here, buddy.
1, bang,
Boom.
2, bang, 3.
Oh, that was,
right.
I mean, if this were baseball, that would have been okay because it was 1 of 3. One of them hit me in the shoulder, one of them hit me in the foot.
It was
Talk about your
rapid fire
variance.
there. I was a little too quick on the draw.
I could have at least caught a second one to help you out a little bit here. I'll take the Niners. This one has Tums written all over it. So I'm trying to figure something out. The Niners have looked awful all season. They looked awful again last week against Colt McCoy and the Cardinals. The Rams are a very good team, even without Beckham. Now they add Beckham. They're the toast of the town. The game opened 4. It moves to 3.5. Why is it moving to the Niners? One piece of information is that Kyle Shanahan has had a lot of success against Sean McVay. They've gone against each other 8 times. McVay has had the better team almost every single time, and Shanahan's 5-3 straight up, 5-3 against the spread. They came up together underneath Kyle's dad in Washington, Mike Shanahan. They know each other very well. I think Kyle has an idea of what McVay wants to do, and that technical, skillful advantage that McVay has over most opponents doesn't exist against Shanahan. But there's a lot of risk here. The Niners are a really sloppy football team. They're sloppy in the secondary. They're sloppy on the offensive line. Garoppolo's been sloppy all season, and they've been turning the ball over everywhere. So I'm on the Niners, but as you can tell by watching this show, there's like so little confidence. I'm gonna be honest, it's a small bet. It's like a third of a unit, just because I want some Monday night action. How's that sound? A little Monday night action. All right, let's keep it moving. Patriots-Browns, marquee matchup today at Foxborough. New England laying 2.5, total of 45. Fire away.
Total seems a little high to me. I'm going to play under there given the DNA of each of these teams. Limited offensively, perhaps is the nicest way to say it, but they want to run the football. And Cleveland does that very well. New England does that very well as well. Strength on the offensive line for both teams, and then good, solid defense. I like Bill Belichick, scheming against Baker Mayfield, even though Mayfield's been better without Odell Beckham Jr. in his career there in Cleveland. Of course, Odell's no longer there. I just think this looks like a game, especially in New England, where it could be cold and the weather could be nasty, where both teams run the ball 30, 40 times, and first to 17 or 20 points is the one who wins this game. Cleveland scored 17 or fewer in 4 of their last 6 games. Of course, New England has that one outlier where they blew up the New York Jets, but outside of that, I think this is a game, again, where 20 is probably the winning number you need to reach.
Good. I hope you're right. I agree with the under. I'm also going to play the Browns team total under, which is 21.5. Tyler makes a lot of key points. I agree with all of them. The Browns want to run the ball. They're number 1 in the NFL in rushing, but they're down their top, second, and third running backs in this game. So if Mayfield needs to throw against Belichick has a habit of making life difficult for quarterbacks like Mayfield, who are wildly inconsistent and can't stretch the field with the deep ball. So that's one advantage in this game. New England's defense has been top 10 scoring D, top 10 in opponent yards per play. Schedule's been soft. So we'll see if they're a legit defense today, because here's the opportunity. But Browns stay under 21.5, and I agree with you completely that we should play the game under as well. You want to talk must-see matchups? the must-see matchup of the day comes to us from Lambeau Field, where the Green Bay Packers are laying 3, total of 49, against the Seattle Seahawks. Kimberly A. Martin in Green Bay. Every week we have you on, you are getting blasted with weather. You are either getting drilled by hail, rain, or snow. You're a trooper. How's it feeling out there right now?
Yeah, it feels so good, guys. Let me tell you, it feels so good. No, this is real football weather. The wind in my face a bit much, but we'll take it because, like you said, this is a huge, huge game with Russell and Aaron back.
All right, so you're killing it, and we appreciate it. Let's start with Russell Wilson, back for the Seahawks today. He said on Thursday that he's feeling close to 100%. How does Seattle plan to deploy Russ, and is it going to be anything different from what we're used to seeing when he's under center?
Guys, listen, Pete Carroll had said, I expect Russell Wilson to look no different than he did before he went down with the injury. And even Russell said, I'm not 100% maybe, but I'm pretty dang close. So really, there's been no limitation on Russell in practice. He's been throwing it the same. The ball looks the same. So Pete Carroll said the one concern he would have really is Russ going to be too amped to play in this game? He's got to calm down because he is hungry to get back on the field.
Kimberly, on the other side, Aaron Rodgers is coming off the COVID list to play again. He'll have Devontae Adams at his stead on the perimeter. We know Rodgers did some, light working out on his own over those 10 days he was on the COVID list. But is there any concern on the Packers side that his stamina might not be truly in game shape for this marquee matchup?
Is there concern? No, because if there's any guy that they trust to not practice for 10 days and come back and still be him, it's Aaron Rodgers. But the Packers coaches and his teammates acknowledge there is the unknown. They don't know how he's going to feel. Aaron probably doesn't know how he's going to feel because Randall Cobb told me walking around at home is different than playing here at the stadium in the elements against a really good Seattle defense. So as far as they're concerned, they knew Aaron was going to come back, and they're hoping that 4 quarters of football doesn't take too much out of him.
Hail, rain, snow, Sharknadoes. Kimberly A. Martin can't be stopped. She's joining us from Lambeau. Thank you, Kimberly. We look forward to seeing you from Cabo at the end of the season.
That sounds good.
Oh, my God. It is snowing in Lambeau. Oh,
well, she's right. It's football weather, baby.
Yeah.
That's what they love to see up there at Green Bay. Great place to tailgate, even in the snow.
That's why you got to be the number 1 seed.
Yep.
It should be a huge advantage, although Tommy took care of that last year. Packers laying 3, total of 49. How do you see it?
To play it over that total of 49, and you're thinking, wow, you just saw Kimberly out there. There's snow on the ground. It's windy. If the wind stays, elevated, then that's a concern. But by all accounts, that snow will be cleared out. It'll just be a cold day at Green Bay when this game kicks off. And with Aaron Rodgers back and Russell Wilson back, having both Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, still known Jair Alexander, one of the top corners in the NFL for that defense. I think we'll see both of these quarterbacks put some points on the board. It wouldn't surprise me at all if this is a tight, close 28-27 type of game, 28-24 type of game. But 49 seems a little low with both elite-level MVP quarterbacks back on the field.
I'll play Seattle. I like where you're at. I hope it's high scoring. I will play Seattle. I want the 3.5. If you can shop and find it, go holiday shopping. Keep the Black Friday rush. Get yourself the 3.5. If you can't, smaller wager on the 3. The hook is very important here. I don't trust the situation for Green Bay. They've been fantastic this season, but Rodgers talking to Pat McAfee earlier this week, talking about maybe not being 100%, hasn't really gotten a lot of work in, doing meetings via Zoom. Rodgers is an absolute beast, but you have to factor that in. Russ is coming back. Seattle's off the bye. Seattle's a team that thrives in the underdog role. Thrives. 14-5 against the spread as a dog over their last 19. This is where they live, so I'm going to be on Seattle in this matchup. Should be a good one. If Rodgers burns me, it won't be the first time. I mean, the guy's a beast. All right, no huddle offense. We're going to rip through a few key games here. We're going to go to the Mountain Time Zone, the most underrated of the time zones. Denver's laying 1, total of 44.5 against Philadelphia. Pick it.
Yeah, I'm going to go under here. Just two teams that don't inspire a lot of confidence offensively. The Philadelphia defense is designed to make you work, kind of like the Chargers defense we talk about all the time. Limit big plays, make you take 6, 7, 8, 9 plays to put the ball in the end zone. Both offenses, again, don't really inspire much confidence. Jalen Hurts has kind of fallen back a little bit. Teddy Bridgewater can be a little erratic. So I think this is a game where the defenses kind of show up at the Mile High City, and we see a lower scoring game.
Completely agree. I'm on the under as well. Here comes a stats dump for you. Number 1, both teams are top 10 in opponent yards per play. Number 2, Denver is number 2 in the NFL in scoring defense. Can you believe it? Number 3, Philadelphia is top 5 in opponent plays of 20 or more yards. They don't give up the big play. So they're going to keep Denver in front of them. Denver's going to score at some point in this game, but hopefully it takes 6 or 7 minutes to do so, because that's what we want for an under. Agree with you completely. That's where I'm going to be. Philadelphia and Denver under 44.5 points. The Chargers are hosting the Vikings today. LA laying 3, total of 53.5. Do the Vikings bounce back after that Ravens defeat?
Not sure. I'm going to attack that total and go over 53.5. Both these offenses obviously very capable with the weapons that they have. Dalvin Cook has maybe the best matchup in the NFL in terms of run defense. The Chargers gladly give up more than 5 yards per carry, and Dalvin will get 20, 25 touches in this matchup. We know Thielen and Jefferson on the outside. It's not a primetime game, so Kirk Cousins, we can expect something closer to the ceiling. Justin Herbert, I think, in a good spot here against the Minnesota defense that's been disappointing all year long, especially when they're on the road. Keenan Allen will play, Austin Eckler, Big Mike Williams. I think this game is a potential shootout going over 53.5.
Someone was watching Daily Wager because my line moved on me. I wanted to play Chargers over 27.5 points. Just focus on the team total. It's now up to 28.5. Through that key number of 28. So I got to scale the bet back a bit. But the Vikings on the road and the Vikings at home, we've talked about it before. 17 points per game given up at home. They thrive on the crowd noise. 30 points per game given up on the road. Brutal. We saw it last week against Baltimore. Now you're back-to-back road games. And the Chargers, top 6 in the NFL in scoring at home. 29 points per game. Charger team total over. It was close to being my favorite bet of the week, but it's not. You're going to find that out in just a second as we welcome you to Take It to the Bank, our favorite bets of the week. Let's take a look at how we did last week. 2 weeks ago, we were fantastic. Last week, how did you miss it? Oh my God. My bet stunk completely. I was down the whole way. I was only covering for about 2 minutes, and then the Vikings went down the field and scored and took it to overtime.
Yeah.
That's
a hook.
When did he get to 95? Did you have time, or was that a
It was the last drive of the game that he got to 90. He had 11 catches. If you would have told me Cooper Kupp had 11 catches, I would have gone over 95 for sure, but that hook got me.
Reach out, Kupp, reach out.
Yeah.
Get the extra yard. What do you like this week?
This week I'm going to go to Josh Allen, over 35.5 attempts. Don't you dare land on 35, Joshua. In a matchup where they are, 13-point favorites against the Jets, a defense that's quite literally in many key categories, including yards allowed and points allowed per game, dead last in the NFL. So
they're bad.
Josh Allen, his last 3 games, has gone over 40 passing attempts. We know that they prefer to pass at a higher rate than just about any offense in the NFL. I expect that to happen as they look to put a lot of points on the board and maybe embarrass New York coming off their embarrassing loss against the Jags.
Good luck to you and good luck to me. You already heard about this one. Denver and Philadelphia going under 44.5 total points. 2 underrated defenses. One thing I left out earlier, Denver moves slow in terms of pace. 29th in pace, not rushing up to the ball, not snapping in a hurry. Jalen Hurts is not going to be bombing the ball down the field. He likes to check it down, and that's good for an under. So under 44.5. Denver and Philadelphia for my play of the day. All right, let's go to the association before we let you go. One last bet on our way out the door. You have the entire NBA card to choose from. What's your favorite bet?
This is the early game that we'll see in the association. Spurs visiting the Lakers. I'm going to play this game over the total of 219.5. A little concerning. I'm going against the move as it's come down from 221 to 219.5. But when you look at these two teams, the Lakers are second in pace in the NBA this season. They're flying up and down the court. And the Spurs are a top 7 team in pace. Neither that great defensively. And Russell Westbrook and DeJounte Murray will keep that pace up. So I like this going over 219.5, getting to 220 with Murray and Westbrook kind of leading that charge to push pace, give possessions to each team, and not great defense on either side.
Pace through the roof for the Lakers with the addition of Russ. If you look at Washington, the pace has completely fallen off. They were number 1 last year. Now they're dropped into the bottom 10 in terms of pace. That's all Russ. For me, it's going to be the Chicago Bulls +4 against the Red Hot Clippers. I like the situation for the Bulls. Last time we saw them was Friday night in the Bay Area where they got waxed by the Warriors. Worst loss of the season. They lost by 26. I think you get the bounce back effort today against a Clippers team that's won 7 straight, but just played last night and and 1. They beat up on the Timberwolves. This is their 4th game in 6 nights. I think there's an edge for the Bulls. I think they're going to come in hungry for this game. Chicago top 10 in both offensive and defensive rating, but they are battling some injuries. Bulls +4 is the play for me.
Both those games at Staples Center today. They got the rare double dip.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Incredible.
Going to change that court over from Laker purple and gold to Clipper red, white, and blue.
Good luck to all the stadium workers out there who make that happen so that the players can, have a load management day. Tyler Fulgham, I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. Thank you for checking us out. Best of luck on all your bets today. We'll catch you Monday afternoon.